This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Big storm brewing post-Thanksgiving. The timing of this could not be worse with record travel expected for the holiday. Weather watcher Rob Marciano's tracking this storm.
7 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. That storm now is into parts of the Ohio River Valley. A little bit of snow across the northern tier. Heavy rain then pushes into the northeast. That'll create some problems not just for the parade, but for travel across the board until things clear out on Friday. Not great timing. Thursday looks to be a potent day in the northeast.
As we mentioned, today is the busiest travel day of the year. 90% of the 80 million of us on the go will go by automobile.
AAA says expect the roads to start building traffic as soon as this afternoon. It's because in a lot of places, kids don't have school tomorrow, so people see that as an opportunity to get on the road today and try to beat some of Wednesday's traffic.
Reporter Chris Van Cleve, a winter storm watch has been posted from Friday through Monday for ski country in western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. Heavy lake effect snow is possible throughout the entire weekend downwind of the Great Lakes. Talk of peace in the Middle East. President Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron could announce soon a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah. Correspondent Alex Hogan is in Tel Aviv.
The ceasefire would include a 60-day pause in fighting, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon, Hezbollah retreating from the southern border of Lebanon, and Lebanon's army creating a buffer along the border with UN peacekeeping workers.
Mike Huckabee is President-elect Trump's pick for ambassador to Israel.
This would be wonderful if it holds, but the problem is that Hezbollah and its Iranian-backed proxies, they've never kept an agreement.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met today with his war council to discuss the particulars of this ceasefire deal. Special counsel Jack Smith has closed the book on his investigation into the president-elect Donald Trump.
Once Donald Trump won the election, it was game over for Smith.
Correspondent David Spunt, Trump's son Eric, tells Fox News.
The irony of Jack Smith is, he brought this case to try and make sure my father never got elected, and I actually think it was Jack Smith who might go down as one of the very reasons my father got elected, right? It's kind of a law of unintended consequences.
A judge yesterday officially dropped Trump's election interference case from 2020. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is at the border today in South Texas. The state of Texas has purchased a 1,400-acre ranch near the border to assist with Trump's mass deportation plans. Homan says securing the border is job number one for the incoming administration.
We're not waiting to January 20th. We're already planning on what we're going to do. President Trump was a game changer. He had the lowest illegal immigration in over 45 years. So look, President Trump's policies work. We're going to do it again. This time we're going to finish the job.
Homan says 300,000 children are missing inside the United States of America right now. Nobody knows where these kids are because of President Biden's open borders policy. The incoming commander-in-chief promising to get tough when it comes to trade with our neighbors to the north and the south. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
President-elect Donald Trump pledged that on the first day of his presidency, he plans to impose a 25% tariff on products coming into the U.S. from both Mexico and Canada.
Trump also vows to impose a tariff on all products coming into this country from China. Canada, Mexico, and China, by the way, are our top three trading partners. Walmart is rolling back DEI policy. It's removing LGBTQ-related merchandise and ending racial quotas when it comes to hiring practices. Media critic Joe Concha.
Corporations understand that the whole DEI gambit is bad PR. Customers just want a good product. Just hire the best people, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their gender, and everything's going to be awesome.
The nation's largest retailer, one of several pulling the plug on diversity programs in light of the recent election results. Walmart says in a statement it's willing to change its ways to better reflect its customer base. Attention shoppers, many of you dealing with food recalls and higher egg prices this Thanksgiving.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics says for October, the price of a dozen eggs in U.S. cities was at $3.37, courtesy of a bird flu outbreak.
Correspondent John Saucier says egg prices are about 30% higher than last year. Still to come on the Noon Report, preventing sickness at holiday gatherings. Hochul signs Melanie's Law, and some tips to keep you from getting ripped off at the shopping mall.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. Some brisk winds and colder air moving into the region now behind a cold front. We'll have the latest forecast. That's coming up in 10 minutes.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Let's check some of the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. We'll begin with Family Life's Brian Query. He says a Pennsylvania university is giving partial refunds to students who were impacted by COVID-19.
Some former Penn State University students are now entitled to partial tuition refunds after the university settled a class action lawsuit against it. The suit was filed on behalf of students who were enrolled in the spring 2020 semester, when classes were moved entirely online due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The suit argued that as part of their tuition, they were forced to pay for services that were no longer available to them. Penn State denied all allegations of wrongdoing, but agreed to pay out $17 million into a settlement fund. Each affected student will get $150, and checks will be mailed to the student's last permanent postal address on file. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, Brian, thank you for that. With the holidays upon us and family gatherings moving indoors, health experts are cautioning that is prime time to spread germs and illness. Doctors are seeing more cases of walking pneumonia, especially in children this year.
This walking pneumonia all but disappeared during COVID. There was even speculation, has this disappeared forever? Nope, it came back. So we need probably to continue to have that exposure for our immune systems to have some protection in memory, and we're not getting that boost in memory. So we're seeing some of these illnesses that were not very prevalent, and they're making a pretty big comeback.
Dr. Harry Miller's a pediatrician from the Albany area. He tells Spectrum News there's also been a sharp rise in whooping cough cases, and to avoid getting sick, he adds, stay up to date on your vaccines, make sure you're washing your hands often, and when you sneeze and cough, make sure you do it into the crook of your elbow. Also, and this is very important, if you are sick, stay away from others. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has signed Melanie's Law. It expands orders of protection in domestic abuse cases. Leah Feldman runs a domestic violence shelter in Poughkeepsie, where that law was signed yesterday.
Oftentimes, domestic violence is not physical until the very end, and sometimes until it's too late.
Feldman says it is common for abusers to target a survivor's loved ones. Melanie's Law allows courts to issue protection orders to the family members of abuse victims. Governor Hochul says New York failed Melanie Chianese, whom the law is named after, when she was killed by her mother's ex-boyfriend.
And I'm going to continue being this fighter for all those I feel responsible to protect, because my number one job as governor of the state of New York is to protect our citizens.
Last year, 128 people were killed in domestic homicides in the state of New York. A new DMV point system is on the way for New York, and it targets high-risk drivers. Attorney Adam Rosenblum.
Even if you are hit going only 10 miles over the limit, which previously would have only been a 3-point offense, now it's an 8-point offense.
8 points will also be added to your license for illegally passing a school bus or speeding through construction zones. Experts caution this new point system will lead to higher insurance rates and more suspended driver's licenses. A Pennsylvania politician wants the death penalty for illegal immigrants who commit murder in the Commonwealth.
State Representative Eric Devanzo says the bill is necessary, citing cases across the country where those who entered the U.S. illegally have been convicted of serious crimes, like Venezuelan street gang member Jose Ibarra in the Lake and Riley case, and Brazilian native Danilo Cavalcante, who escaped the Chester County prison in Pennsylvania after killing his girlfriend. Devanzo says drastic measures are needed to counter the surge in illegal illegal immigration. 95 people are on Pennsylvania's death row, but only 3 have been executed since 1976. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Police are reminding us to remind you how to keep from getting ripped off this Christmas shopping season. Ontario County, New York Sheriff Dave Serencio.
If you do a lot of shopping and you're going to be making trips out to your car and back, put your recently purchased gifts and belongings in the trunk or someplace in the car where they can't be seen to just eliminate the possibility of a target for somebody. And that goes with cell phones, wallets, purses.
He says there's been an uptick in the theft of wallets, purses, and credit cards at shopping malls.
And that's generally a result of people leave a purse or a handbag or a wallet on a counter, in a fitting room, in a shopping cart while they're shopping, and it only takes a couple of minutes, and by the time they realize they've forgotten it, they go back to get it. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not.
Also, he says, and this is very important, try to park in well-lit areas to minimize your chances of getting robbed. Thanksgiving can be a dangerous holiday. Bree Tennis tells us how to stay safe in the kitchen.
The CDC says 48 million people will get sick from foodborne illness this Thanksgiving holiday. Cornell University's Food Service Department says fires, burns, and slip and falls can send you to the ER. And don't underestimate carving accidents. The slip of a knife can require stitches or surgery, and blood is not the extra ingredient your turkey needs. Experts say start with a sharp knife, cut away from you, and turn the lights on. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, good advice there. Thank you, Bree. Sports next. It's the 2-Minute Drill on Family Life.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, the battle of the Harbaugh brothers ended the same way the other times they coached against one another. John topped Jim. The Ravens came out on top of the Chargers 30-23. Lamar Jackson threw 2 touchdown passes. He also ran one in for another score. Baltimore's victory snaps Los Angeles' 4-game winning streak. On the hardwood, the Knicks were on fire as they pummeled Denver 145-118. New York shot over 60% from the field, almost 53% from three-point land. OG Anunoby had 40 points, while Karl Anthony Towns chipped in with 30 points and 15 boards. Jalen Brunson added 23, and he had a career-high 17 assists. The Knicks now 10-7 on the season. The Nets rallied for a 128-120 win over Golden State. Dennis Schroeder led the way. He scored 31 points. Also picking up victories in the NBA, the Magic, Pistons, Pacers, Mavs, Celtics, and Grizzlies. In college hoops, number 2 UConn was upset in overtime by Memphis 99-97. On the ice, St. Louis put it to the Blue Shirts at the Garden 5-2. Will Cooley scored both goals for the Rangers. New York has now dropped 3 straight. The Islanders didn't fare any better, falling to Detroit 4-2. Anders Lee and Kyle Palmieri both scored to give the Isles leads, but they could not hold off the Blues. In the third period, they buried 3 goals to pull out the victory. Philadelphia dropped a 5-4 decision to the Golden Knights. The Flyers had an early 3-0 lead, but Vegas came back to tie the game and then won it in a shootout. The Lightning, Caps, Devils, Canes, Senators, Jets, Kraken, and Sharks also skated to wins. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy Mann, still to come on the Noon Report. Walmart ditches DEI. Trump talks tariffs and living homeless on purpose in Buffalo.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm Shane Morris. There's a game teachers sometimes play in elementary school called Fact or Opinion. The teacher makes a statement like, the sky is blue, or vanilla ice cream is better than chocolate, and students decide whether it's a fact or an opinion. The fact is that the sky is blue, and the favorite ice cream flavor is an opinion. In other words, some things are objective, while other things are subjective. The problem with this game is that it implies that only observable or scientific facts are objective, while value judgments are mere opinions. Things we can see, hear, taste, touch, or smell are non-negotiable. Everything else? Well, it depends on who you ask. To show how quickly this falls apart, we need only change examples. For instance, instead of ice cream flavors, what if the teacher said, falsifying scientific papers is always wrong? Is that a fact or an opinion? Last month, the National Institutes of Health found one of its top neuroscientists guilty of scientific misconduct. The Associated Press reported that Dr. Eliezer Maslaya, who served as neuroscience director at NIH's National Institute on Aging, apparently used manipulated or duplicated images in an untold number of studies. Specifically, Maslaya published the same figure panels, supposedly showing experimental results in different studies of different people's brains and cells. Some even appear to be edited in a way that duplicated or cloned pixels within an image or between images. In other words, they did not show what the papers claimed they showed, and what everyone who read them assumed they showed. Although the NIH has already notified 2 scientific journals of the misconduct they were tricked into publishing, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Reviewers now say that more than 100 papers co-authored by Maslaya as far back as 1997 contain suspect images, and some of these papers have already played a role in developing medications and treatments. Everything scientists do, from performing experiments to gathering data, to writing up their results, to seeking publication, to applying for grants, all of it depends on virtue, specifically the virtue of honesty. So, education must include moral formation. The fact or opinion game teaches precisely the wrong lesson, that only concrete and observable things are real. It turns out that concrete and observable things about which scientists write are at the mercy of the very first scientist who wants to cut corners and knows how to use Photoshop. And that's not just my opinion, it's a fact. For the Colson Center, I'm Shane Morris.
All right, Shane, thank you. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Clouds breaking, but a couple of showers, gusty winds and falling temperatures. Then tonight we drop toward 30 with an evening shower and a couple of flurries. Some sunshine for tomorrow. High temps in the low to mid 40s. Thanksgiving Day cloudy with wet snow and rain, and high temperatures in the mid 30s to the lower 40s.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price. Great to have you with us today. Lots to talk about Tuesday, the 26th of November. It is officially the busiest travel day of the year, folks. 80 million of us on the go. 90% will go by automobile. We're watching a post-Thanksgiving storm as well that could throw a monkey wrench into those travel plans. A winter storm watch has been posted from Friday through Monday for ski country in western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. Heavy lake effect snow is possible throughout the entire weekend downwind of Lake Erie and Ontario. Israel may vote soon on a ceasefire deal with Hezbollah. Correspondent Deborah Pata.
The White House said it's been actively involved in trying to get this deal done, but caution, nothing is negotiated until everything is negotiated.
Mike Huckabee is President-elect Trump's pick for ambassador to Israel.
It's not just for Israel. It's for all of the Middle East to have a peaceful existence, which cannot happen as long as the Iranians keep threatening to wipe every Jew off the face of the earth. And then their promise is to come after us in the U.S.
Donald Trump's plans to hike tariffs on America's 3 biggest trade partners is making headlines today. Those trade partners are Canada, Mexico, and China. It's part of his plan to crack down on illegal immigration and drug trafficking, but it could also drive up prices for consumers.
I just find it a very weird move, considering that one of the things that helped him win the election is how much Americans disliked the increase of prices.
Veronica Rucci is an economist at George Mason University. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is visiting a ranch at the border today in South Texas. That is the same ranch that the state of Texas has bought to help out with the mass deportation efforts of the incoming administration. Florida Congressman Byron Donald.
The Mexican government knows that Donald Trump's not playing around. He wants this border secured. He wants the drug cartels to stop this infestation population of people.
A caravan of illegal immigrants meandering north through Mexico toward the U.S. border right now includes at least 60 unaccompanied minors. And with 55 days to go until Inauguration Day, Donald Trump scored a major legal victory. A federal judge has granted special counsel Jack Smith's request to drop the charges in the election interference case. You're listening to the Noon Report, a Tuesday edition on Family Life.
Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this week's guests are Pastor Eric Johns of the Buffalo Dream Center, along with his son Alex, who will help continue his dad's 25-year tradition of spending Thanksgiving week with the homeless on the streets of Buffalo, part of the family's year-round ministry to them. Starting a second quarter century, can we put it that way?
Sure, yeah.
Eric, let's do a quick recap here for people who aren't familiar with this. How did it all start?
26 years ago, I was pastoring a small church, and we really had been reaching out to inner city kids. We had an after-school program. We were developing relationships with the kids and really wanted to do something for them at Christmas time. And at the same time, we had just began working with a lot of the homeless community that surrounded the area where our church was. And it was really all new to my wife and I. And we just thought that there was a need in both places. A lot of the kids that we worked with didn't get anything for Christmas. They didn't have the kind of Christmas waiting for them that I remembered when I was a kid, all excited to wake up on Christmas morning and open up gifts. And for a lot of them, they didn't have a tree. They didn't have gifts. Some of them told me they just were hoping that school would get started again soon so they would have something to eat at lunch. And these were the kind of kids that we were working with from some of the neighborhoods we were going into. So we decided we wanted to give Christmas gifts to 200 kids, which was a huge endeavor for us. Most of our church was kids, and almost all the families in my church needed help as well. And so we had to go outside of our church family and ask the community to help us. And I don't say this lightly, but I really believe the Lord spoke to me and told me to go live on the streets with the homeless people. And I didn't know what that would mean. I didn't know what that would do, but the media really went crazy with this pastor out on the streets for the week, living with the homeless. And every time I did an interview, I mentioned what we wanted to do for kids. And we raised the money from, the generous people in the Western New York community that just were giving to make Christmas special for kids. And that was 26 years ago. We helped 200 kids. And now, all these years later, Boxes of Love, this year we will feed 4,000 families. They'll get groceries, a turkey, or some kind of other meat and produce. We're just going to bless 4,000 families with food. And we're also giving wrapped Christmas gifts to somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 kids. It's no longer just the Dream Center that's doing this. We partner with a lot of churches and organizations in the Buffalo area and even outside of Buffalo. And volunteers come from their states. Every year, about 1,000 people come through the Dream Center to help pack bags of groceries and wrap gifts and go into the communities and distribute it. I think last year we went into 37 different neighborhoods to distribute the food and the toys. And year after year, I just kept living with the homeless. And year after year, people would join me. Other pastors would join me for a day or two. But my sons, I started this before they were born. Alex is almost 22. So I started this 26 years ago. He wasn't even born. Everything we've done in the ministry at the Dream Center is, we call it a family business. It's the kids have always been involved. And for the past few years, Alex and my other son, Nate, have been with me out on the street for the week to learn the experience and to find out what it's all like. And now they want to take over. After 25 years, I felt like it was just time to pass the baton onto them so that this ministry can continue for many years to come.
Alex, give us the insider view here. From when you were old enough to realize what Dad was doing every Thanksgiving, what were you thinking?
Growing up, it was almost normal. It was actually funny. Week of Thanksgiving, I'd be telling my friends, oh yeah, my dad's sleeping on the streets with the homeless, and they look at me like I'm crazy. But it was just growing up, it was a normal thing. Thanksgiving time came around and my dad would be going out on the streets, living under the bridge and eating in soup kitchens. And what I loved too was growing up, even when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, Dad would let me join along with him for like a day. And I'd walk around, I'd go into soup kitchens with my dad, and we'd talk to our friends there, and it was normal. And then once I got old enough to like really understand why he's doing it for raising awareness, but also for raising money for kids and things, I asked Dad, can I sleep one night, just one night? And he was like, no, you have to wait a little older. And finally, when I was able to sleep out under the bridge with him, it was even more eye-opening and even a bigger experience. And I wasn't prepared for it, but now that years have gone by where we've done the whole week and done it alongside my dad, he's really trained us and showed us too different ways. And you learn a lot too. You learn a lot of people's stories, but it's always been normal. And I know that probably sounds crazy for people that aren't used to it, that it's normal, but it was normal in our family.
Kind of lessons you don't learn in the classroom.
Exactly.
Had to have obviously left a huge impression on you and your brother as well, to really give you a heart for the homeless.
For sure, yeah. In our church, we not only help them this week, but throughout the week, our church feeds the homeless 3 times a week with a ministry called Friends Feeding Friends. We also go out every third Saturday and give them snacks and pray for them. And we do a lot for our friends on the street. And we also have a church service every Sunday. We take a van and a truck down with groceries, and we have worship right there across from the bus station. It's really cool. We love them. We know them by name. And when we show up, they know us by name. And it's really fun.
Pastor Eric, 25 years, 26 now. You start with a trickle out of the spigot, then God brought a fire hose.
Yeah, and that's how God has always done it with us at the Dream Center. We've never began a ministry or started an outreach because we had a committee meeting and came up with a budget and decided how much we could spend. We found a need, and we began to meet that need. To me, that's the basic definition of ministry, is if there's a need in your community and no one else is meeting that need, and you can begin to do something to meet that need, then you've got a ministry. And I remember the first time I did anything with homeless people, I just went by myself downtown late at night with some sandwiches, and I almost got beat up, when I was down there. And someone from my church happened to be down there and rescued me. So,
we put faith on different levels here.
Well, I tell that story because it's like we weren't experts at all. We just wanted to love people. And soon our church was growing, and 2/3 of our church was under the age of 20. And then the homeless ministry was taking off as well. And then year after year, Boxes of Love just grew. Because, when you give God a little bit, that's what he does. He multiplies things. That's what God does with the seed that we sow. And we just started sowing into the lives of people. And Alex is exactly right. We kind of are highlighted this time of year, but all year long, we're out on the streets. We're building relationships. A lot of these guys that Alex and Nate, they're going to be with them this week. They're friends. They know them on a first name basis. A lot of these guys, because we've taken the time to build a relationship with them and share the love of Jesus with them. So it's just a highlight for our family. It's what we do every year. And I don't think the week of Thanksgiving would be anything else. It's just kind of what we're used to. But God took that week and really blessed it. And now we have what we have now, but we're very grateful.
Alex, like your dad put it, kind of became the family business in a way. So big shoes to fill for you and Nate. Exciting, daunting, combination of both?
Exciting is what I would say, because I'm excited to do it. Growing up, too, we always were a part of the ministry. That's the thing, too, is my dad never left the house and said, I'm off to go do the ministry. He took Nate and I and put us in our car seats or our strollers or held our hands and walked all through life. And we went and did it with him. Everyone says he's passing it on in a sense, and yes, he is. But I just feel like I'm just going to keep doing what I normally do, which I've always loved. And that's why who I am today is because my parents always included their kids and myself and my siblings in the ministry. It was never just my dad's thing. It was our family thing.
Eric, from those car seat days, did you ever envision this?
No.
Yeah, the guys are going to be out there all the way through Saturday the 30th. They really do leave the house and really do pack a bag and bring a sleeping bag, and they'll be out there from Monday to Saturday.
And it's rain, shine, it's November, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know in Western New York what it's going to be. We've had, over the 25 years I did it, we had everything from sub-zero warnings not to be outside, stay in your house, to you could almost wear a T-shirt, while you were out. So you never know. You never know in Buffalo what the weather's going to be like in November.
That's for sure. Last question then for either of you. If somebody wants to get involved, help out one way or another, how do they go about that?
Yeah, know it takes a lot of people. We'll have over 1,000 volunteers come through the Dream Center in December. And the awesome thing about it is anybody can volunteer. It's very family friendly for parents to bring their kids and for businesses or church youth groups or church groups to come and wrap gifts, pack bags of food, and then be at the distribution sites where we give it away. And we start work on the 23rd of November, and it goes all the way through Christmas Eve, where we do a big lasagna dinner for all of our friends from the streets. We bus in all of the homeless people to the Dream Center, and we do a big lasagna dinner. So it's all month long. There's plenty of opportunity. We made it real easy this year. You just got to go to our website, buffalodreamcenter.org. And right on the homepage of the website, you'll see boxes of love, and you can click on there to volunteer. And it's actually the easiest we've ever made it to pick a day and a time and what you're going to do and come and be a part of it.
Pastor Eric Johns of the Buffalo Dream Center and his son Alex, entering the 26th year of spending Thanksgiving week with the homeless on the streets of Buffalo as part of the family's year-round ministry to them through the Buffalo Dream Center. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Hi, Mark. Great work. Love the Buffalo Dream Center and all the work that Eric Johns and his entire family has done in that city the past, quarter century now. Great stuff. Hometown Heroes comes your way every Tuesday at noon or online anytime. Just go to familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The passage of a cold front that brought recent rains and showers, kicking up the wind now and ushering in cooler air. That air, though, will be drying out, setting us up for some mostly precipitation-free weather and a good travel day tomorrow ahead of Thanksgiving. Speaking of which, low pressure will approach on Thanksgiving Day with some wet snow and rain. Best chance of accumulations will be over the higher elevations of the southern Finger Lakes through the Twin Tiers. Then polar air plunges into the region with lake effect snows aplenty heading into the weekend in those localized areas. For this afternoon, clouds breaking, but a couple of showers, gusty winds and falling temperatures. Then tonight we drop toward 30 with an evening shower and a couple of flurries. Some sunshine for tomorrow, high temps in the low to mid 40s. Thanksgiving Day cloudy with wet snow and rain, and high temperatures in the mid 30s to the lower 40s.
All right, Kevin, great work at the Weather Center. And finally, noon, if you're flying for the holidays, you should know what the rules are so you don't hold up those lines.
Actually, you can bring your roast turkey as a carry-on.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Yes, turkey and dressing are allowed to fly with you, but the year-round rules against bringing liquids on a commercial flight apply to other Thanksgiving dinner options.
You can spill it, spread it, smear it, pump it, or pour it. That's things like cranberry sauce, gravy, any alcohol or juice, fruit preserves, or soft spreadable cheeses.
TSA spokesperson Jessica Maley says you can keep the turkey and stuffing cold, but your ice pack has to be frozen when you go through security. Greg Gillespie, Family Life News.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. And that is our world, the world we live in, Tuesday, November 26th. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.